Here we go. Hi, Skye. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you, Sharon?
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome to Life in the Suburbs with Sharon. You are episode 5 of our new podcast. So I'm so thrilled that we have this opportunity. I've sort of been like so excited for over a week since I knew that you were coming on my podcast to interview you. Just a little bit of background about life in the suburbs with Sharon. I am a local mom, mother, wife, and resident in White Marsh Township. I am a residential real estate agent, and I've lived in the Philadelphia suburbs my entire life. Settled in White Marsh about 25 years ago, and have just fallen in love with the community. It's very community based, is what I've learned in the different sections of the suburbs. So I decided to bring it to my listeners and interview people that are really cool and have cool stuff to talk about and share with our listeners. So that is what Life in the Suburbs is. We are going to get started in our interview. So let me do a quick introduction of Skye Michiels. He is the national head of agent development at Compass. Skye's been in real estate for over 18 years, which is a feat upon itself. He's worked at a few brokerages around Philadelphia and the suburbs before joining Compass in 2018. We have so many topics to cover, so we're going to get started right away. Again, thank you, Skye, for coming. I know your time's crazy, but you're definitely a cool subject because you've done so many cool things. So let me just start by asking you to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself. Really share about how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So basically, I never thought, like most realtors, I don't think most realtors don't think like I'm going to go into real estate, right? So I was at high school. I graduated from Syracuse University with my master's degree in 2000. I moved. I was looking to be a teacher in the suburbs, but live in the city. So pretty much I was looking at like Boston, Philly, and then DC because I wanted to be within a drive home where I grew up in upstate New York. And so luckily I ended up here in Philadelphia and I ended up getting a really great job at Haverford High School. It's an amazing high school in Havertown, PA. And I started working there. And once again, I knew from the ninth grade on that I wanted to be a high school history teacher, right? Is it always what I wanted to do? I was sort of living out what I dreamed.
Right.
And very quickly after graduating from college and getting my job, I didn't realize I knew I was poor, but then I was like, wow, I'm still really poor. Like I have a master's degree, et cetera. And I was piecing together coaching and like, odd jobs and everything. But I really knew that, as a teacher, you do have this ability to have, your summers off. You get done with school and high school around 2:30. So I was like, what
Yeah.
should I do? And I remember it was parent teacher night in October of 2001. And I was having a conversation with a guy named Bill Curry. And it's like, those are like life-changing conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him like, hey, I love teaching, but I really don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. And he said, well, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would be a teacher and I would get my real estate license and sell real estate part-time. You get the benefits and security of being a teacher, the pension, the healthcare, the salary. And then, you sell 3 to 4 homes on the side and you make that extra money. And I was like, that sounds great. So I went, Poley Associates in
And that,
Broomall. I did the weekend courses. I got my real estate license. And so I actually started selling in May of 2002. And I walked into an office on Westchester Pike in Havertown and met a wonderful gentleman who's no longer with us named Paul Gallagher. And I sit down, we're talking, and I'll always remember the line he said. He said, if you want to be successful in real estate, be honest. He said, you may lose a deal, you're going to win a lot, but at the end of the day, always go to bed knowing that you were honest that day. And that was one of those lines again that just stuck with me to this day. It's decades later, I still remember that
yeah.
conversation. And I was like, yep, this is where I'm going to work. So I only interviewed one place. I got my license, started selling real estate part-time. And very quickly, the athlete in me, I'm a former collegiate athlete at Syracuse, and I'm a little competitive. I know how to work hard. I know to drive myself.
Little.
And it was just took over, right? And I was like, I started to compete a little bit with people in the office. And I was like, I can do this. And then I combined my teaching background right? So I started really laying into what I knew how to do as a teacher. So I would meet a first-time home buyer and I would educate them on the process. And these two things sort of just came together and I really started to take off within the real estate world. And I didn't, so I started selling 2002. It sort of started to snowball. In 2003, I was like rookie of the year and
Yeah.
part-time, like I was still at a full-time job. And then 2004 is the first time I was like, wait, maybe there's something to this that's not part-time. And I was really killing myself in the time, all I did was work because I'd wake up 5 in the morning, get to school by 7 a.m., work all day, leave there, go to the office, work all evening. Then the weekends came and I worked all weekend, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like so intense. And then finally by 2005, I knew I had to make a decision one way or the other. I either had to cut back on real estate and truly do it part-time, or I had to leave teaching and fully go into real estate. And in 2005, I made the decision to fully invest in real estate. And so I went full-time in June of 2005 was when I left teaching officially. And I went into being a full-time realtor. So that's how I sort of got started. That's my origin story.
So it's funny, I'm going to drop in a quick thing. It's so funny how, and I was never a teacher. Clearly, I'm a salesman by birth, but the woman who helped me with all my real estate prior to me becoming a real estate agent was also a retired teacher.
Yeah,
so it's funny how it really, when I work with certain agents, I co-op with other agents, I can tell right away who the teachers are.
it's true.
It's just a really good background for our industry. It's really interesting because the education piece is so important and it's often forgotten.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it, but we're about to go into a time in our business that education is going to be huge, right?
Huge.
So this leads me to so by the time I met you, because I started in real estate in 2013, so by the time I met you sometime probably 2014 when I was in Keller Williams,
yep.
You were already team lead / moving in a coaching direction. So sort of take me through without booking our entire afternoon, but take me through like what took you to where you are today, because it's been a road.
Yeah. And so I was at Coldwell Banker from 2005 to 2013. I was at Coldwell Banker in the city of Philadelphia. And even at Coldwell Banker, like, I get asked to sit on panels or I would mentor some newer agents here and there. But then when I went to Keller Williams, I mean, Keller Williams has a really, really robust focus on training.
Great.
And really, really great. Like I said, I think it's a really good example for most of the industry, which luckily here at Compass, I've tried to replicate and actually excel beyond what they offer. But when I went to KW, then I really took on a leading role in our education. I became the chair of the education department at our local brokerage. Okay. And then 2016, myself and 4 other business partners formed our own market center, which is KW Philly. And to this day, one of the best market centers in Keller Williams, like really powerful. And when we formed that, education was one of the cornerstones of what we really were behind. So I created things like KW Education Day or all these ways of making sure training and education were at the forefront of every realtor's, every day. And for me, it just was a way to combine the 2 joys and the 2 passions in my life. One is real estate and the other is teaching. So it just sort of was able to like dovetail so well. And then the other thing that I always grew up as someone who thrived on helping other people. And there's no better way to help someone than to teach them how to do something and then watch them thrive.
Yeah.
So it fed, obviously from a business standpoint, I was an investor owner in the brokerage. So it helped me from a business standpoint because agents were selling more. But more importantly, it helped me from a soul and a happiness standpoint that when I was up there teaching, there was nothing I enjoyed more than doing that. And it really became a cornerstone of what I did at Keller Williams and sort of the impact, hopefully, that I have to this day with agents that cross my path.
And now I mean, you were originally the coach and then in Philly or the
Mhm.
Philadelphia region, and now you're national.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
Compass like really super relies on you. So,
yeah,
just give us a
yeah.
little bit of that. I know you have the two kids at home and how I know you don't sleep.
Luckily, I need a little less sleep than probably the average person to
Yeah.
function, which is good. But my coaching journey here at Compass started when I took over as managing director in Philadelphia. And when we took over, myself, John Bielik, Gary Lacey, Jeff Bedard, Angela Smith, like the early leadership,
Mhm.
we committed to making sure that training and education were a huge part of what we did in the local brokerage. And
By the
then
way, for those who don't know, the Philadelphia region for Compass is like, to me, I think stellar. Like, I mean, we have New York, we have LA, but Philly is where the shit comes from. It's that's the best.
yeah, a lot of things originate here in Philadelphia and get spread
Yeah.
across the country, which is a really point of pride for us.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, Sharon, the real moment came when I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back was when COVID hit.
Mhm.
And I'd done a little bit of national speaking before that, but we didn't have much virtual across the country. But COVID hit, if you remember, I'm sure everyone on this call remembers, the world ended. We all went indoors. We all locked our doors, and we sort of started watching Netflix, and we were getting on our Zoom happy hour calls and starting drinking at 4 o'clock. And
Oh yeah.
oh, I mean, it was those early days were just a mess. And I remember at the end of March, just being at the point where I was so frustrated with how I was living my life,
Mhm.
even though I didn't cause it. It's not like I was choosing not to go to the gym. It wasn't like I was choosing not to go in the office, but I was so frustrated. And I decided to not focus on what I couldn't control, but to focus on what I could control. So in April of 2020, I launched a group in our region called the 6 Amers. And that group, to make a long story short, has expanded, and we've been doing it every single month since April of 2020. And now it's a national program, a national thing that I run here at Compass. And we have 4 calls a week, 2 at 6 a.m. East Coast time, 2 at 6 a.m. West Coast time. So there's lots of options for people to join, and those are on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mhm.
And it's really been this point of pride. But what it really started my journey of becoming exposed nationally to other Compass regions and agents. And then the other thing we did during COVID was coaching at Compass, which is where we had maybe 15 sales managers, and we did. This is probably in late April, May. We started doing these national trainings, and that also propelled me out into the world. And then probably so over the years with the coaching and the COVID and the 6 Amers and all this stuff, I was still a full-time sales manager as well. So at the end of 2021, I had 450 agents I was managing, and I was running full-time national programming. So luckily, in early 2022, we formed a division here at Compass, now called Coaching at Compass. And luckily, I was elevated out of my sales manager role and into the full-time role of head of agent development. And so my job today is to create, design, and deliver training for Compass agents nationally and locally, like in person and virtually. So it's really the coolest thing about the whole journey is full circle back to my roots
Mhm.
of being a teacher. So every day, that's all I get to do is be a teacher. It's really
But you're
fun.
still really there for us. Just to give you that little plug. I mean, you're still really there for us. I mean, I know during COVID, I guess you hadn't moved completely out of that sales role at that time, but I saw you at one of the holiday. I bet it was December of 21. I saw you at like a little holiday gathering for coffee
Yeah.
in Ardmore, and or maybe it was 2020 something. And
Yeah.
I was like so frustrated. I was over my head. I was missing deadlines, like the little things. And you're like, why aren't you using the
Yeah.
transaction? And boom, I started. So you're still coaching us
I
every day.
am. Always will be. I'll always be helping people no matter what. And it is a struggle sometimes because as I've gotten older, I've tried to become very aware of making sure I only offer advice when it's wanted not when it's unwanted. And this is, by the way, this is a male attribute, right? We
That's
love,
mature. It's very
yeah,
mature.
yeah. And there's like, as a man, we often are in that mode of like, oh, I'm gonna fix everything. And
Mm.
sometimes people don't want you to fix it. Sometimes they just
True.
want a pen. And
Especially as salespeople.
exactly. And then, so that's a little bit of my growth and maturity that I still will work on. I'll probably work on forever, because my
Yeah.
natural tendency is say like, oh, you're coming to me like, and what in the past, I'd be like, oh, well, Sharon, you got to do this. And here's everything you got to do. But you made it in that moment, just needed someone to vent to, and
Yeah.
then you're good. Or you needed someone to give you advice. So now I've evolved. When someone comes to me and they're like in a bad space, I say, I could do one of two things. I can give you advice, or I could just listen and be here for you. Which one would be best for you right now? So
Yeah, I need to work on that. Thank you. That's a good one. I'm going to get one little plug for myself. And I hope I'm not totally speaking out of school, but I still wish that we could go a little bit more back in person.
We're working on it. I mean,
I
that's,
still feel the struggle a
yeah.
little bit. And I know I'm in that weird Ambler Chestnut Hill debacle over here in Bluebell, but so I am a people person and I'm an in-person people person. I was
Yeah.
doing those happy hours early in COVID, right? And then I was like, I hate all you people on the screen. I don't like you. I don't want to see you on the screen. I need to be in person. So
Yeah.
that's just my little tidbit, but we can move on.
Well, and let's really quickly, if you have what we're launching in this, what you just said is the key to the future. And what we're doing here at Compass is we're launching the Back to Basics Challenge,
Uh-huh.
which is where we are challenging every single agent to get back to basics and get back in person with their clients, with their sphere, with other agents, right? And the key to 2024, whoever connects more will win more. And
Yeah,
the connection, by the way, cannot be via an email, via a text message, via a Zoom call.
I'm guilty.
We all are. We've got, well,
Guilty.
COVID created this, right?
Yeah.
Like it created this world where we got used to being on email and text and disconnected. And the
Yes.
irony is, what a cool situation where caring is a competitive advantage. It's so cool to be back in a world where if all we got to do is care more and show up more in person with people and get back to doing client events, doing coffees with people, like taking people to play golf or tennis at the cricket club, or you get my point, right? Like
Yeah.
let's connect in person.
I'm
And the
in.
more
I'm
we
in.
do
I
that,
already have a date with my whatever Victoria, I don't remember what her title is, but my agent support person on January 3rd. So I'm a big January 3rd, September 1st person. Like I'm ready to go. I got my list of what we're working on. So we're good. Yeah.
love it.
So I know people are waiting to hear Skye Michael's opinion of what is going on in the real estate world, big picture or little whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean, let's not talk the world. Let's not talk what happened, last year, because the one thing I'll say, a lot of the statistics that come out in the news are so old by the time it's calculated and reported that it's really not current. So
absolutely.
talk to me about current. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Well, let's just start with the interest rates.
Yep.
I just had dinner with two really good friends of mine who are mortgage, they own a really big mortgage company here in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
and decades of experience. And they were saying in their entire mortgage existence, they've never seen rates, A, go up as fast.
Great.
B, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen them drop a point and a half in a week and a half, only because of a mention of one line in a Fed meeting
That
saying
they're going to
that's
drop
it.
it 3 or 5 times next year, whatever that number was.
That
Yep.
one line dropped rates to one
It
and a half
bakes it
percent.
in right away. And the general public doesn't understand that. And nor would they. Right.
No, they're not worried about rates. Most people, unless you're buying a home or, even if you're buying a car, you're really not too concerned with rates, right? But when you're buying a home, so unless you're really buying a home, it's
Yeah.
only people that are really paying, or you're in financial markets, et cetera,
Correct.
right? So I think that's the first thing, is that we've been bombarded this year with this whiplash of news, and in the real estate world too, like the lawsuits that are being filed and all this noise. And I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to push forward for people in 2024 is the fact that you need to become what I call unconditional, meaning your success is not conditioned around what's happening in the news or the market or anything. And I know that may sound weird, right? But if you are an agent that is only relying on the market to be successful, you're probably gonna, you might have some ups and some downs, but you're probably gonna be pretty stressed out because of the fact that you've given all control to the market.
Yep.
As great salespeople, we need to become unconditional. And the thing that I want to drive every Compass agent to, but I challenge any other agent listening to this, we need to elevate what we do into the same exact role as a financial advisor.
That's right.
Right. And you need to
Educational.
become education. So 95% of the people that are not buying or selling real estate today.
Right.
But how do we treat those people like clients? Like, for example, my financial advisor today, I contribute to my 401k, I contribute to my 529 college savings, right? I'm not transacting stocks and bonds and everything like that, but my financial advisor is calling me a client, even though I'm not, actively doing anything. Well, my challenge to you, Sharon, and every Compass agent and every agent, frankly, listening to this is how can you start to treat your clients that were past clients like clients today, and that's goes back into providing service and value that's beyond a buy and a sell, and goes back into, we call a portfolio review, right? Where you actually give them an analysis of, hey, here's what's sold last year. Other areas of service, maintenance of the home, other areas of service, upgrading a home, design trends, financial decisions. Can you, Sharon, let's, like a lot of the people we know at the cricket club, could you put your home in a trust to make sure you protect it from estate taxes, right? There's all these ways that we can show up as elevated service providers to people who are not buying and selling. And this way, when someone thinks of real estate, their goal should be to think of Sharon as the expert of all things, and anyone they know that's buying or selling should work with Sharon.
Yeah.
And that's your key to 2024.
Yeah. And, that's definitely, I've been hearing this from our group for a while, and it's really so true. It's got to get more accepted with the public.
Yeah.
That we are like your financial advisor, where we are involved in the largest purchase of your entire life and where that goes. And, conversations like, yes, your neighbor may have gotten over ask price, but they also put over the 10 years that they owned the property, they put $100,000 into the property. What have you done? And this is all very educational, right? So we need
Great
to
analogy, Sharon, in this regards. Like if someone brings that up, one of my lines I would use is, well, it's the equivalent of you looking at someone that bought Amazon stock at $50 and saying, well, they bought it at $50. Why can't I buy it at 50? Right. That was what the stock price was at that time. And you can't compare this moment in time to that moment in time. And in addition, every house is unique and a fingerprint in and of itself. So
Before going on to the next question, I'll give a quick plug about what we do and what I do and what I'm available to do. But like Zillow estimates or whatever. I mean, okay, look, it is a place that it's a computer that can take number data in black and white and compare, contrast, and spit out a number. And it gives me a little bit of like, if I have to do something really quick, I will use Zillow really quick, right? But Zillow can't determine whether you're on a main street, that you put a new roof on, that your kitchen was redone 6 months ago and the other kitchen is 30 years old, and So, or, there's a walkout basement, or they cannot look at any of those factors. So if anybody ever wants to know, feel free to look at Zillow real quick, but honestly, reach out to me. I have a conversation to find out what we're talking about, and then I can put a nice report together. But we can move on because that's just details.
Sharon, just to finalize that thought, if anyone on this call is thinking they're going to use Zillow for evaluation, what I challenge you to do is go to realtor.com, go to Redfin, maybe one other site, and you'll see you have 4 different numbers. which one's right? The only one that's right is going to be one your real estate advisor can give you, and here's the data and here's the experience combined together. And if Zillow was accurate, we would not have 1.5 million realtors in the country helping people buy and sell real estate, right?
Well, they're not really helping, but
Yeah. You get my point.
yeah. All right. So I want to talk about some local stuff. You've lived in Philly in the suburbs your whole life, like me, except for the 4 years in Syracuse, probably.
No, I grew up in upstate New York. I don't know if you knew that. I grew up in upstate New York.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's why you landed in Syracuse. So you were used to cold. I was the crazy girl that went up there. You've been here a long time.
I've been here a long time, 2000.
What's your thing? Like, are you a foodie? Are you a movie guy? Are you a gym guy? Which I kind of know a little bit of, but tell me something or tell us something that I don't already know about Skye Michaels.
I mean, I'm all the above. I'm a foodie, I'm a gym guy, I'm a sports guy. I absolutely love Philadelphia with all my heart and soul. And I'll give the background of where my sports love came from. I went to Syracuse. So I'm a diehard Syracuse fan. I bleed orange. It's my favorite color. It's the best. And when I graduated, I had been there all 4 years. Donovan McNabb was there. So
Oh yeah.
he came to Philly. I came to Philadelphia. And then that year, the Sixers went to the the national or the championship games and all that. And so the city was just this vibrant city where everyone cared about the sports teams. And I just felt that, right? Like, and to this day, it's like still that way. Like, you'll sell a house a day after the Eagles win, and you may not sell one after the loss, right? Like the city's depressed when the Eagles
So
lose.
true.
It's so funny. So I'm a huge sports guy. I'm an athlete. I wake up. The other thing I'm really, really passionate about is mental, spiritual, and physical health. And for me as an athlete, my health, and when I say health, I mean all three, it begins and ends with my physical health. When I'm eating right, when I'm in shape, when I'm working out.
You look fabulous right now, by the way. I know you were in a little bit of a struggle there for a bit, but you look
up and down. You go up and down, right? And stress and all the things that you deal with. And I'm in a very, very good space right now where I'm like really dialed in. I'm really committed. And I just feel when that happens, for me, everything flows. But I challenge everyone on this call, like every day, I try to do one small thing for my physical health, my mental health, and my spiritual health. And you can define that in any way. For some people, physical health might be walking. For me, it's really sweating and raising my heart rate and like doing something a little more challenging, but it doesn't matter. If you're moving your body, you're working on your physical health. The mental health, I love reading, but that's for me. Some people like podcasts, some people like Audible, some people, whatever, right? But do something for your brain. And then the final thing is spiritual health. Once again, that could be defined in lots of things. Maybe it's church for some people. Maybe it's reading the scripture or the Torah, whatever, right? For me, it's about really dialing into what I call the law of attraction or energy, positive, negative energy, and how do I actually channel that? So it starts with meditation and listening to positive affirmations and stuff like that. So those are the things that I think everyone should really every day try to focus on. And
great tip. It's easy to remember. There's three parts of mental health.
That's right. It's not just like health, right? Yeah, we always think health. I think in this country, we always think health as like working out and doing this, like that kind of stuff. But it really goes back to your brain and your heart as well. So
I love that. Thank you. Well, we're starting to drag on a little bit for my listeners. So it's time to turn the tables. This is your time to ask me a question.
All right, Sharon, what is the best coaching advice you've ever received in your real estate career?
I'm going to turn that a little bit because it's not just about real estate in my life. My life had a long background of sales and family business. And I trained a lot of people for a lot of years in my old business. And one thing I always remember during training that will never be forgotten and comes up in business and personal all the time is make all the mistakes in the world that you can, just don't repeat them.
Great.
I don't know who told me that or if it was just like an off the cuff kind of thing. Like, and I used to say to my staff, you can't make a big enough mistake to destroy this company or to hurt anybody or whatever. Just make the mistakes because that's the only way you're going to learn. I mean, part of that saying is it's the only way you're going to learn. So I still live by it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to transition that to my kids.
Yeah.
Make your mistakes. Just please, please, please learn from them. It's the best environment to learn from is
Yeah.
to be safe, to be in a safe place,
Yeah.
to make your mistakes. Anything in real estate. The only other thing in real estate is like there's some age old sayings that over the years, because I always had parents, friends, and family, my aunt, et cetera, that were always real estate agents. And it's like location, location, location. It's still hundreds of years, thousands of years later, is real estate is about location. And just the other day I was driving around delivering some of my orchids to my clients for little holiday gifts. And I'm thinking they just took a house down on that corner of like Susquehanna, whatever, blah, 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 and they're going to put up a $1.2 million house. I'm like, and who wants to live right there?
Yeah.
Like, remember, a house may not be perfect. It may not, it may only check 8 of your 10 boxes, but location, location, location will always come back for you in a positive way.
It's so true. So
Period.
true.
End of story.
Yeah. All right. I have one follow-up question.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna zing you on this one. Sharon, tell us the greatest mistake, or tell us, you don't say the greatest. Give us a mistake you've made in either business or life that you learned from, and what was the lesson?
I'm not prepped for this one. Let me think.
I know. Sorry. You do know I interview people for a living, so
I know. I know. And okay. So I am gonna say in my previous business, I was mentored, with my father.
Mhm.
And he was of the more of the generation of, your old cronies are going to support you. This is what we do. We do it this way. We don't go outside of our box and learn as much as maybe we talk about in today's world.
Yeah.
And I would say that's a big mistake. In my world today, so much of what I do, I know a lot of people on this podcast see me all the time networking.
Yeah.
And networking is about meeting other people and learning from them and maybe teaching a little bit of some of what I have to offer to them. So I didn't learn enough when I was in my old business. I remember so specifically a couple friends of my generation, like the kids' generation, calling me to consider joining their local BNI.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, what the hell do I need that for? How can I do that every week? And, and I think now, like, wow, that really could have opened up some thoughts for me in that business that ended up not surviving after 80 some years, So that's a mistake. I have learned from it. So I checked that box.
I love that. Awesome lesson. So
Thank
really
you.
good.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to start wrapping this up. Skye, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. This was so much fun. And by the way, I always felt that I interviewed all of our staff for so many years. And that's how this podcast thing is sticking so well for me, because I'm loving interviewing people again and having this conversation and hearing from them and learning from them. So thank you for coming on board with us. Happy holidays to everybody. Make sure to go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, Life in the Suburbs with Sharon. And any real estate questions that you have for yourself or your friends, please send them my way. And we will talk to you next time. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays, Sharon, and tell your beautiful family I said happy holidays as well.
I absolutely will. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.